Good morning, y'all. So I just got back from dropping my son off, and while I was sitting in the car waiting for the school to open, I had an epiphany. So before I talk about the epiphany, I want to back up. I've been reading, or rather, listening to this book by Dr. Carolyn Leaf. Think, I think it's Think, Learn, Success. And I listened to her prior book, Switch on Your Brain. So it talks about how your brain can heal itself, and you can create new neural pathways to heal unhealthy thoughts, to heal trauma. And as you all know, I've talked about the traumas that I've experienced. I've talked about my healing journey. And so when I listened to it, and initially I thought it was kind of hard to apply the practices and principles that she mentioned in the book. So while I listened to it, I didn't really apply it. um I actually haven't listened to anything in my Audible account probably since then. And so since now I have a wait in the afternoons, I listen to Audible, either books or sermons or something to pass the time, and again, invest time spiritually. So the book, as I listened to it yesterday, was just talking about gratitude and gratefulness, and one of the ways that we can switch on our brain, which is through gratefulness. And y'all know I'm a big advocate of practicing gratefulness. In fact, I'm going to start another gratefulness challenge here soon because I need the reset. But just, it's so crazy because of the mental space and spiritually where I am. Like what she said resonated with me on a deep level because a lot of the things that she's talking about are things I personally believe in, like practicing gratefulness, practicing forgiveness, and walking those things out. So this morning, um, I don't even remember what the other thought was, but instantly a thought in my mind dropped in my heart and my spirit, and it was, I get to. So a lot of times it's easy to complain when you have a lot of things to do, myself included. And all I could think about once I get to popped in my mind, I began to go down the list of things I get to do instead of I have to do. Like, I get to take my child to school every morning, and I get to spend time nourishing his spirit, nourishing him as a person, and especially during that drop off time. So for us, that's a devotional time. Um, I get to leave work in the middle of the day and go pick him up from school every day because I work from home. I get to work from home, even though sometimes I have to work long hours. I get to spend time with my loved ones and friends. I get to do a lot of things, and it just really shifted my whole entire being this morning because it's so easy to complain. And honestly, I'm guilty of it. Like, I found myself complaining about different things over the weekend. And it also reminded me how intentional God has been with me. Many, many years ago, in fact, right after I first had Stephen, he had to be about 2 months old. Um, my law school ended up losing they were put on probation by the ABA. If you don't know, I attended law school for 3 years, and my last law school lost their license to operate, so I was not able to finish my final year of law school. Um, and when that happened, it was like devastating because I was trying to continue to go to law school with a newborn, as a person parenting alone, and I was just severely overwhelmed to the point that I could not finish the classes. And so I decided to withdraw from the school that semester with full intentions of returning in the summer because my hope was that they would have resolved their financial aid situation and I would have been able to make things work. So I interviewed and took up another engineering role. My plan at the time anyway was to go to school, do engineering part-time, and rely on my village there to help me with him. But at that moment in time, and honestly about 8 or 9 months later when I interviewed, um, for the role that brought me back here to Atlanta, I told God, God, one day I want to work from home. Whenever you open the door for it to happen, I want to work from home. And so I said that and I prayed about that and I put that on my prayer board, my As Long As It Takes prayer board. I put that on that board in 2017. I had my first, the pandemic in 2020. So in March of 2020 is when I began to work from home full time. And I had my next full-time remote position July of 2020. So it took 3 years for that thing to come to pass. But as I sat in the car today, I was reminded that I was sitting in the middle of an answered prayer. And so my hope for you today is that you take something from this and shift your perspective on things and say, instead of saying I have to do this thing, say I get to do this thing. I have to be honest with myself. There are so many things that I get to do that I take for granted on a daily basis. There are so many people who are still waiting to have a transplant, and yet I get to take my medicine every day to preserve the kidney that my brother gave me. There are so many people who are have other illnesses and things as a result of having had a transplant, or their illnesses cause their kidney failure. And I don't have those problems. So I get to work out. I get to eat right. I get to do those things that preserve my life and preserve my health so that I don't get the secondary issues and illnesses that can happen once you have a transplant. I get to work from home, even though sometimes right now I'm having to work a lot, but I'm getting to do something. The one thing in college I realized was the one thing that challenged me and pulled me out of my comfort zone. I get to spend time with my child every day. Even though sometimes I feel annoyed when he's like climbing all over me, but I get to do that because one day he won't want to do that. One day he won't want to play with me. And it was just such a beautiful reminder from God, just how much he loves me and how instantly he can shift your perspective on something. So my hope is that you will allow God to shift your perspective on whatever your situation is. And I'm sorry I'm tearing up, but it just it really hit me in my heart. I pray that you'll be open to receive whatever God is trying to show you today and every day, that your heart is open to receive it, and that you shift from I have to I get to, because I see being able to work from home as a blessing. I see being able to pick my child up and take him to school every day and spend time with him in the morning as a blessing. I now see me taking this medicine every day as a blessing because I'm still here, especially after having gone through kidney rejection in 2018. I'm still here, and it could have definitely gone another way many other times. So shift from I have to I get to today. Bye.